I'm Doth Savick, and this is the DD Commander Cooler Bag. This bag retails at $139.99, and that's what I paid for it. No special deal here. I paid full retail price. It comes in at 2.29 kilos, which is just a little bit heavier than the Guru YME3, which was 2.25, and just a little bit lighter than the Innova Superhero Pack 2, which was 2.5 kilos. This is a pretty unique bag in that it comes with a cooler cartridge built in that is also removable. It has a particularly unique tall front on it. The cut on most disc golf bags is quite a bit lower, and they've done that to match the height on the cooler. When I ordered this, I also ordered the normal DD Commander bag, and both of them came in the same color. This, I don't know what they call it. I call it Tony the Tiger. It's got the orange, two-tone, or maybe it's actually three-tone. It's a little hard to pick up with my lighting and whatnot, but there's even a little difference between this color right here and right here. It's got some kind of cool patterns to it. I think it's a great looking bag. It's sharp, it's super bright. With the lights I've got in here, it really pops. It makes it look almost radioactive. It's not quite that bright in real life, but it definitely has a lot of pop to it. The main disc compartment down here has a zippered flap on it. One of the comments I got as I was gathering data on this bag was how that it'll just kind of collect debris like pine needles and whatnot falling in there. It totally does have a flap there. You can keep that down to block debris from dropping into your main disc compartment if you want. And then there are 3 different ways that you can use that flap. One is that you can use it zipped or unzipped in the, just resting down configuration, and lift it up whenever you want to reach in and grab a disc. The other is that you can fold it. If you look at the lines sewn across there, you can fold it along those lines and then tuck it into the back. It's a little hard to do in front of the camera, but that's what it looks like tucked in. There's a little bit of a spot down here that I can stick that fold into. The third configuration is to lay it down all the way against the back, and I'll do that after I pull this cooler out, which I'll do in just a bit. The cooler is huge. I've got a 6-pack in there right now. There's 6 12-ounce cans. Underneath them, I have an ice pack. Without an ice pack in there, you can fit like another row of cans across the top, or you can put 16 ounces in there, no problem. It's not a particularly well-insulated cooler. It's akin to, maybe one of the cheapest coolers you could find at Walmart. It does the trick. It's better than just having beverages stuffed in your side pockets or whatnot. And there's totally room for ice or ice packs in there. With it, a fully stuffed cooler, you've got just enough room for, like in how I have it loaded up right now, I've got 4 mid-ranges on this side, and then I've got 4 drivers on the other, and then I have 4 putters up on top. So I've got 12 discs in it in this layout. The other notable thing is the vertical disc storage on top, where I've got 4 putters and a mini. This is a little bit unique up here. We have a lot of elastic. Each of these horizontal points is stretchy elastic. What's kind of unusual about this is that you can see the height of those keepers is staggered. However, the bottom out point is the same. So even like these putters at the very top, they'll come down to the same point where the black ends down there, which is where I have the lid tucked into. That's the bottom out point for a disc in this compartment. That's also the bottom out point for a disc in this compartment or this compartment. So in each of those, the disc can go to the same depth. What stops them is that Like in this case, the disc I have in the middle compartment is hitting the bottom rim of this disc. So if I pull that up to get it out of the way, then I can get both to the same depth, which is kind of funky. Like if they're gonna have the same bottom out point, why not have the keeper at a much more similar height? I'm not sure why it's done just in that way. I've heard that these do tend to stretch out over time so that you can get, more discs in them if you wanted. Like with the two putters that I've been putting in the very top, you could potentially fit 3 in there. You can potentially fit 4 in there, but then you're adding so much tension to the lower spots that it gets harder and harder to put discs in. Another thing that you'll notice, and this is regardless of whether I have these 4 stacked into the top compartment or have them staggered, is that with the mini and the different discs in here, we really get this center point to push towards the front of the bag. And if you have the cooler removed and you're going with discs all the way across, that becomes a problem. That makes it a little bit harder to pull discs in and out. In particular, that combined with how high the front cut of the bag is. I do like the disc storage up here, and I've not been running 4 putters on top like I have in it right now. I haven't been doing that all of the time. I like actually having 1 or maybe even 2 slots open up here, and then I can start stacking some fairway drivers or mid-ranges, whatever I might be using the most. Similar to how I've been using the Fossa, is just kind of stacking whatever discs I use the most towards the top. Of course, your putting putters are what you're going to use a high percentage of the time on every single hole, so you'll want those up there. But then you might want to leave a slot or 2 open and just kind of see what migrates up in that direction. The mini marker slot is huge. You could fit maybe even one of those medium-sized discs in there. I forget what they're called, but a normal mold disc that's in a miniature form. And then off to the side, we've got a pencil pocket over there, which is just the perfect height for a golf-sized pencil. You really, can't do any better than that. That's just exactly what I'd ask for storing a pencil. And then I've been putting my phone over there quite a bit. It doesn't come quite as high up on my phone as I would want, but it fits so cleanly in there that I don't really worry about my phone falling out. Scorecard definitely could fit in there as well. It's a great spot for that. Moving to the outside, we've got a little elastic on the top of the water bottle holder, so it's pulled in a little bit there. I have, again, a hockey puck I've been holding in the bottom of the left side because I'm right-handed, so I, put the bag on my left shoulder. That's where I want a beverage most of the time. And with a 12-ounce can, it just kind of, disappears in there. That happens with a lot of bags. And that's one of the things I like a hockey puck for. I mean, they're heavy, right? But that's great. Still about the perfect thing to throw to get a disc out of a tree. And with it in there, it also pops that can up to just about the perfect height so that it's easier to get your can in and out. And then if it's a Nalgene, just fine. Any of your larger size bottles will fit in there. That elastic keeps it fairly snug, but it's also big enough that you could fit a larger size bottle even if you have. Probably the biggest gripe I have about this bag is what I'm going to show you right now, and that has to do with the outer storage pouch and then the main storage pouch. Both of them, the zipper is put on backwards. Full stop. It's just done wrong. There's no arguing against that. It's a single zipper pull on both of those. If it was a double zipper pull, that fixes the issue, or if they would just run the zipper in the opposite direction, that would also fix it. This is a nice size pocket here. I've got wallet that I'll keep in there, and then car keys underneath it. Maybe there's another, I'll keep 1 or 2 other things in there possibly. The zipper is cut low on the front of the pocket, and then on the back of the pocket, the zipper stuff is up high. The zipper should be down here when I have the pocket open so that I could zip it, up about this high and leave it like that if I'd like. That means that, the top of the pocket remains open so that I can reach in there, grab my car keys, grab my dog bags, whatever little thing I want quick access to while I'm still on the, the first hole or before I've even teed off. But as it is now, that's cut so low that anything I've got in there is at risk of falling out. So I have to zip it closed completely, which is just a little bit of a pain to do. It's not like the zipper runs rough or anything like that. It just irks me that zipper is on backwards. It's like, with the pound bag that you see in the background, the main side pockets I've got on that are zipped partly down. You'll see people carry pound bags like that all the time. You'll see people carry their grip bags like that all the time. Anything that has the zipper on properly, you'll notice that it's just more user-friendly to leave the top section of that pocket partly zipped down. It gives you a little bit of access to whatever you might have right on top without having to cycle the zipper fully every single time. If you're not paying that close of attention, maybe it really doesn't bug other people, but there's not really an excuse for that to me, and it's such an easy fix. If that, like, as stupid as that might sound, if those zippers got changed direction, my opinion of this bag would just go through the roof. Like, it's really the only thing that gets to me on this bag design. Moving on to the main compartments on the side. And this one, for example, I've kind of got loaded with stuff. I've got my water bowl for my dog, bug spray, sunblock, and that one, bag tags, cash, and then I got a roll of tape in there. I'm starting to deal with some split fingers and stuff like that, so I'm taping up fingers sometimes when I throw. This time of year, especially going into the winter, I start having those problems. So with about that much stuff jammed in there, I still have room for more. For example, if I don't have the cooler in here and I'm trying to carry some extra beverages, this is exactly where I'm going to want a can. Now, what would I like to do by jamming a can up there? I would like to grab the zipper right here and pull that pocket up about this high and have it zipped closed right there. That still gives me easy access to the can on top, and I don't have to worry about things falling out. But as it is, I know that can is just going to fall right out of there, so I have to take the zipper, which is put on backwards, and fully cycle it down to the bottom. Just like a little bit annoying. We've got a mirror of those things on the other side. I don't have a whole lot in here. A whale sack, a Sharpie. There's dog bags in that one. And then on this side, I've got a big towel, compression sleeve, some extra socks. This grass was super wet in the morning. And then I've got a scorecard thrown over there. You can fit more stuff in these side pockets than it looks like. When they're empty, they sit extremely low profile. There's not a whole lot of fabric there, but they will bow out, especially near the center, which you can see that pocket's doing with all the stuff that I have jammed in there, and I can fit even more. Moving on to, well, I guess I should point out, okay, two other things on the outside. People are always asking about D-rings and whatnot. There's a little bit of a webbing loop sewn on here so you can hang a carabiner and all your jingly-jangly stuff off of that side. And then on the other side, we've got a quick clip clasp on a bit of webbing. As I talked about with like the Ridge V3, I'd really like when they have that quick closure up here. If I'm running my GoPro on a tripod, or you know, your stool or your umbrella or whatever, it's really nice to like get this to the proper tension and then not mess with it. And when you want to take out whatever you have on there, you can just pop it open. And then when you lay it back in, you go right back in. That's so much easier than having to like loosen and open something constantly. Is just to pinch and get the quick clip on it. I wish that this was on the other side of the bag. That is sitting on your left shoulder. And if you're using a stool or, you know, tripod on a GoPro or whatever like that, once you put it through here, you are either going to dedicate your cup holder on that side to grab the legs, or this pocket here to grab the legs. And the cup holder definitely works better. This is going to put your stuff on a little bit of a weird angle. The cup holder is more straight up and down. Well, majority of people are right-handed, which means they throw right-handed, which means they probably pick up their bag left-handed and put on their left shoulder. And a lot of times the bag only gets carried by that one shoulder, and that's where you would want your beverage to be, is hanging from the one shoulder that the bag is attached to. So if you have an open beverage and you want to control it that way, or just have access to the beverage while you're walking because the bag is only on one shoulder, you're potentially losing that left side beverage slot because that is the side that has your umbrella or stool holder. Getting pretty nitpicky, but I would rather have that on the other side, especially, you know, majority of people are right-handed and that's how they carry and that's how they use their bags. So I wish this was over there on the other side, but it's not. There's another little nylon loop, webbing loop down here that you can hang more stuff. That's a pretty unique spot to have a loop like that. With this super high cut on the front of the bag, we've got some extra real estate there. And they're trying to take advantage of that by giving you an extra spot to hang something. This would be an amazing spot for another disc sleeve. Like some of these elastic sleeves they have up here, they could totally fit more right down here. A lot of bags there's not room for that, or it's gonna interfere with, you know, pulling discs in and out of the normal compartment. But on the, you know, going with the front cut that's at cooler height, it's just perfect. They could definitely put a disc, you know, sleeve down there. I would love to see it. It would really set this bag apart even more from the normal Commander bag. So let's go ahead and pull the cooler out of here. So you can see that there is Velcro on the front, Velcro strip on the bottom, and then also a Velcro strip on the back of the cooler. And then inside the bag, there's double horizontal Velcro strips on the back, and there's one stripe of Velcro across the bottom. And then, well, it's black, it's hard to show, but mirroring what's on the back, there's also two strips of Velcro across the front. So I think that sitting dead center is the best configuration for the cooler if you want to put it in the bag. You can go fully off to the side with the cooler if you would like, but as I mentioned before, with how you're loading this with it bulging in the center, pulling discs from the middle is not necessarily the most fun, and that's why it makes most sense to have the cooler sitting there in the middle. Now you'll see that as I have that cooler right now, neither of the zippers got pulled all the way to the back, and that's because that bulge is covering that area. If you have the zippers pulled all the way to the back, they actually become pretty hard to access. Those zipper pulls can kind of disappear on you, hanging down in the back of the bag. So something to keep in mind. It's not hard to pull them all the way back, but if you do that, you're really going to be searching for them to try to get them closed again. With the you can see how well the six pack of 12ers fits in there. And then I've messed with a couple different ice packs in this. And the one that I found that fits just absolutely perfect in the bottom is a 2-pound 2-pound Yeti ice pack. That does make it so that the cooler is very stiff and like pushing out on your discs. It's going to make the cooler hold its shape. Whereas if you just have cans in there, especially as you're going through those over the course of a round, your discs are then able to, you know, as those cans come out, or you have a couple crushed empties or whatever, it really loosens up the amount of room that you have in there. And you don't get that with the ice pack in the bottom. You can see how much room is on top of those cans. You can easily fit a whole nother layer in there if you wanted to lay, you know, three on top or something like that. And then you can totally use the bag without the cooler in there at all. And if you're going to do that, then I would recommend a different configuration for storing this main flap. I kind of alluded that to the beginning, or in the beginning of the video, saying there's 3 different ways to do it. 1 is like this, 2 is with it folded all the way in, and then 3 would be folding it down to the back. If you have, and you can do that, you can fold it all the way down and then set the cooler in, but especially if you have a big ice block in it like I did and a 6-pack of cans, it starts to push into the back of the bag, and that really affects its fitment on your back and how comfortable it is. And I'll talk about that a bit more after I load this up. So this is what I had in here to start. 12 discs. And with the cooler out, I've got so much more room to load this thing up. The last 2 rounds that I've played with this bag, I pulled the cooler out just to kind of experience that. I think a number of people will probably end up using it that way at some point in time. So there, I just dropped in a good chunk more discs, and we've still got room. I need to grab another 1 or 2. I'll grab another mid and another driver. And now we're at a pretty comfortable amount of being full. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mids and putters. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 total discs in there right now. The side pockets are wide enough that you can stuff discs down in there too if you are, you know, really going crazy for like a maximum disc load. The fact that I tucked the back flap all the way down removed some of this bulge here, but you can still see that it does come into play. If I'm trying to pull one disc out of there, you can see how much it's pushing outward on the front of the bag to try to get that disc out. It's still, you know, it's still workable, it's still doable. That does get a little bit worse if I had this flap folded. The spot that is sewn down to, where you see the black ending and the orange starting, that spot just gets super crowded. Like that, you know, that is the 2 inches or something that you have to tuck the flap into. That's also where your mini marker is trying to seat, and then potentially all 3 or all 4 of the discs up here all trying to seat in that same spot. And then that really starts to push forward. Moving to the back of the bag, the first day that I put this on, I was frustrated, even just like walking out of my apartment and down to my garage to get in the car. It reminded me of the Innova Superhero Pack 2, which is one of the more uncomfortable bags I've carried in quite a while. And I think that a big part of the reason that it like rubbed me the wrong way right off the start was that I had that main flap tucked down, and then I had the cooler with the ice pack and 6 beverages in there, and it just started making the back of the bag bulge out, and that's all that I felt was this piece down here on my lower back. Now, I was maybe over-analyzing it, probably over-analyzing it, because as soon as I got out onto the course, I forgot about it. And it didn't bother me at all after being out on the course. It got even more comfortable once I started orienting this flap depending on how I was loading out the bag. If I'm going full discs, then I just tuck this thing all the way down flat. If I'm running the cooler, then I have this thing folded or, just left open like this, and I move it up and down all the time. In any of those combinations, it's quite a bit more comfortable. If I'm still like really thinking about where I feel it on my back, it's definitely on this lumbar support piece down here, but I don't think about that when I'm on the course. What I feel when I'm carrying it on the course is how wide set these backpack straps are, the shoulder straps. And that's very unique. Like for a somewhat similar style bag, the Skinny 2, it has its backpack straps like extremely close together, and I actually thought they were so close it might be a problem. Didn't turn out to be the case. And these are just on the opposite end of the spectrum. They sit super wide apart, and they also like to sit out from the bag. Like when I'm going to pick this bag up, a lot of times the straps are just like out and ready, kind of reminiscent of an Octothorpe or an Octohaul, where when you put it on one shoulder and you look at the other one, that shoulder strap is just poking out at you, and you can just elbow right into it instead of having to, grab it and roll it over your shoulder and then unroll the strap. Very user-friendly with that super wide spacing on the backpack straps. They also sit so wide that I feel like it improves my posture when I'm carrying it. It's pulling back at a wide point on my shoulders. It's not like an insecure thing, like they're gonna slip off or anything like that. I think that maybe it doesn't feel great against my back, but it makes up for that with how good it feels against my shoulders with that really wide stance. I don't know, maybe I'm not describing that the best, but there's something about it. Like it does feel really good on my shoulders, and I have felt no fatigue from carrying this bag, and I do feel that with a number of other bags. So even though I'm like struggling a little bit to put the exact right words to it, it's kind of an odd combination, but overall, I don't have an issue carrying this bag, and I'm definitely not feeling fatigue. It doesn't feel like a heavy bag at all. The straps are a dense foam. They're like very stiff. They're not easy to squish down at all. They're not super wide. You're not having like a ton of padding there. But as I've been describing on some other bags recently, I'm really coming to appreciate that super dense foam and how that feels on the back. There's a couple of different fabrics back here. On the main back is kind of an open mesh, and that is also on the backpack straps. And then down lower, kind of in that lumbar support area, it is Cordura or something similar to that. It's a little hard. See if I can get the camera angle just right. This piece does poke out a little bit further. So this is the main contact point on my back for how I carry the bag. And the foam feels thicker on top here, and then it's kind of tapering down. And when we get down to the bottom of the bag, we do have a hard edge down here. I don't feel that. This sits like my belt is right there. That's how it fits on my back. So I'm, just for whatever reason, I'm not feeling this hard piece down here, which is something I've complained about on some other bags, but I feel the higher padding instead. And that may be really just specific to my torso size or whatever, or how I'm carrying it, but this is what I feel. This is like my main contact point. On the bottom of the bag, we've got 5 feet, and they are, little half dome shaped, which is weird. I've not carried another bag that had feet like that. I've not had any issues with them at all. This thing feels super sturdy on the ground. I kind of like the idea of that lone center foot instead of just having like 1 foot on each corner. That kind of holds your discs up, right? Stops the bottom of the bag from sagging down completely. One of the things that I've been doing when I get this bag home, especially with carrying an ice pack in there, is that I'll lift that lid. Whoa. Just dropped my bag tag. I didn't know my bag tag was in that mini. And I'll prop my mini up there to hold the cooler open to make sure that it airs out. Just a little thing, but I realized right away that I was getting a lot of moisture building up in that cooler and that it wasn't going to dry out. But something you might want to do if you're using the cooler like that is to just remember to prop it open after your round. I think that this is a great bag for the money. In particular, if what I described about those 2 zippers or 4 zippers, I guess 2 on each side, being backwards, if that doesn't irk you just from hearing it, then I think you would love this bag. Like, it is got the potential to carry a ton of discs, very unique in that you have that cooler cartridge you can add in there, and something about that open layout is becoming more and more attractive to me. Really first struck me by carrying the Skinny 2, and this is somewhat similar to that with extra storage added. I don't enjoy interacting with this top compartment as much as I do on the Skinny 2, but you do have a whole lot more storage added onto the sides, and of course the cooler compartment. So there's some trade-offs to be made there, depending on what your priorities are. Overall, it's been a pleasure to carry. I really like the cooler compartment. I've been handing cold drinks out to friends, and it's fun to see this smile on people's face when they realize what's going on inside your bag. So the last thing that I'll talk about here, and I just almost forgot about it, is the Rainfly for this bag. Currently, I don't think you can buy one. I've not seen it on DD's site, but someone offered one up for sale used, and I got tagged and jumped right on it because I wanted to check it out. So I already have the Rainfly on this bag. This is actually the normal Commander that I have inside here. That Rainfly came in its own little DD marked pouch, and it's a little bit of a unique Rainfly. I can't say I've ever seen another Rainfly that has zippers on it like this one does. It doesn't fully cover the bottom of the bag. We've got elastic running around the side, so the bottom fabric is still exposed to moisture, but you do have the taller feet down there, which will help keep the bag off of the ground to some degree. Coming across the back, there's a single elastic piece holding that in place, and then holding the Rainfly in place on top is a little elastic system with Velcro. This little flap right here tucks into your hull loop and then swings out and grabs a hold of some Velcro. You've got the zipper on top, which you can pull down to access whatever discs you've got up in the putter compartment. And then a zippered flap there to access your main discs. I think it's pretty clear that this Rainfly was designed for the Commander, and I think the Commander cooler is really a new design, so it wasn't thought of at all when this Rainfly was made. I don't think this Rainfly would work great on the Commander cooler, in particular because of how this main front zipper is cut. You would be pulling, you know, that zipper would come up to here, so that's all the access you would have to try to pull discs out. Definitely wouldn't work great. But as far as I know, that's the only, or like the closest compatible Rainfly for the Commander series. Maybe Dee Dee's working on another Rainfly. I don't know about that. I'll close out the video here by letting you know that I just started up a Patreon page. Patreon.com/DothSavik. I'll put a link to it down in the description. If you want to really support me in making more bag reviews, and in particular getting into doing the disc reviews again, I really want to jump on it. I'm so close to just pulling the trigger and ordering the camera that I want to do disc reviews, but it's just a little bit more than I can stomach at this time. I've gone into debt a bit as it is already, just with the current, lighting and camera setup that I have, and in particular, buying all the bags over the last year plus. It's starting to take a toll. I'm enjoying doing this though, and am starting to make some money on ad revenue. That's slowly helping me recoup my expenses. But if you really want to jump in and help me out, check out my Patreon. I've been making some posts on there and have different ideas for things I can do to help reward anybody who's willing to support me. So thanks for considering that, and thanks for watching the review as always. I'll catch you guys next time.